Good morning and Merry Christmas. I am here to open day 25, the sock set, which I don't think we need to guess for, because the tag on the outside says, I have set my rainbow in the cloud, Genesis 9:13. It is a reminder of God's faithfulness and his amazing grace. So I think we all know what this is going to be. But also, it looks like there is another progress keeper that I've missed this whole time of a little dove in the olive branch. I think it's a dove. I don't remember. It's been a minute since I read that particular story. So let's get this all undone and see what today's square is going to be. I will do it from the main skein, but there is a mini because it is a sock set. So, oh, it's so pretty. Look at that. Oh, I'm so happy. Here's the official colorway name is Sign of the Covenant. So I will go get at least the main skein of this wound up, and I will be back for a knit and natter as my heat turns on. Filming this knit and natter has not been going well, but I am nothing if not stubborn. So I am here to spend my Christmas morning with you, and I will try until I succeed. So, because Christmas is hard. And I mean, I know I watch Vlogmases outside of the Vlogmas season, but I know Christmas is hard for people. And any holiday can be hard for people, quite honestly. Sometimes it's a matter of the people you wish were there aren't. Sometimes it's the people who are there you wish weren't. And sometimes it's not the way you dreamed it would be. I use the word dreams a lot because I feel like that's a much more accurate word than expectations, because expectations can be communicated and dreams are much more lofty, hard to encompass things. Dreams are very heavy things, even if we don't always acknowledge them as such. All that being said, Christmas was hard for me as a teenager and a preteen because my parents got divorced when I was a kid. I don't remember Christmas with both of them. That's fine. But we had an established way that we did Christmas. We could open our stockings when we got up, even if nobody else was up. You know, we'd have to wait for the adults to be present to open our gifts, but we could tear into our gifts, you know, mostly at the same time. We didn't really have to pay attention to what our sibling was getting. You know, that's how we did Christmas. And then my mom met my stepdad and we started doing Christmases with his family. Nothing will make a child hate another child more than if other child is used as a scapegoat for adult decisions that impact the first child. For example, the way my stepdad's parents do Christmas, because they'd come out and visit and we had to do Christmas their way. Stockings would be open one by one by one once everyone was there to stare at the person opening the stocking. And then after all the stockings were through, we went back through again and watched one person open all their gifts. And then we moved on to the next person. And you couldn't play with your own gifts once you opened them. You had to be present. And by present, I mean if somebody got up to get a glass of water or go to the bathroom, gift opening was on pause. We had to wait. Which just wildly different from the little family Christmas culture I had. And then the worst part The part where I say making another child the scapegoat is the one way to make that person, that first child, hate the second child. We couldn't do Christmas. We couldn't do anything until my stepsisters showed up. And so, as a child, it's their fault. It is my stepsister's fault that I don't get to do Christmas anymore. It's not the adults' faults. They're here. It's these ones' faults because they're not. My stepsisters, their custody schedule was such that Christmas Eve and Christmas morning they spent with their mom. And they would come over to my house in the afternoon. Could be noon, could be 4. Tell a 12-year-old to wait till 4 to open their presents on Christmas when they know full well that they should be opening them now. They're not happy. You know? So, and like I slept in today till 7:30, 8. I'd wake up at 5:30, 6 because I would be excited about it being Christmas. It's Christmas. Kay's trying to get the remote to work. I can hear him and it's not working. It's very frustrating and upsetting as a child to have to do Christmas a different way and to feel like it's being done wrong and it's just not right. This is not how Christmas works. I've been led to have a certain set of expectations. It's like if you went trick-or-treating on Halloween and instead of getting candy, people were just inexplicably handing out protein bars or apples or bags of chips. And you had this expectation or this dream really, that you're going to come home with a bag full of candy, and instead you come home with this bag full of other shit. As a child, that's not like a pleasant surprise. This isn't what Halloween is. So, I didn't like Christmas. I love the aesthetics of Christmas, and I have dreams of Christmas, but the practice of Christmas, not a fan. Not a fan. You know? So, yeah. And everybody does Christmas a different way. I think now, as far as what I like about Christmas and what's important to me and what's integral to preserving the dream of Christmas, it's a Christmas tree. It's hand-knit socks. It's festive candy making in the month lead up to it. And now Advent, because I like Advent. But that's what Christmas is. I have to go. I'm going to go have to fix that remote for him because he's very upset. I'll be back. It was actually a request for coffee. I make him coffee in bed whenever he asks, but usually that's only on days off. I'm trying to think if I have any more fun Christmas stories. I don't know. Pretty consistent frustration with the present opening fiasco type of thing, if you couldn't tell. Very happy that I don't have to do that anymore. I think it was it was some amount of years ago. They had switched over to doing Secret Santa, and then I'm trying to remember the timeline because as a young adult, your life gets busy and you're doing things. But at some point, my stepdad's parents decided that they didn't want to do Secret Santa because they just kind of wanted the ability to get whatever they wanted for his daughters and not get anything for us. Me and my brother, that is. But this is very on brand with how they view family. Crazy, because my stepdad has had his own stepdad since he was 5. But my step-grandmother frequently did not like to pay for me and my brother. She would invite us places and then not pay for us. They are not nice people. Like on the other side of that, I have another version of a step-grandmother, my mom's dad's ex-wife, who's my mom's half-brothers are through. My mom calls her mom. I call her grandma. I grew up calling her grandma. She's wonderful. I have always been her grandchild. I have never been treated any differently than her other grandchildren. Same with my brother and my stepsisters. We are all her grandchildren. She's a wonderful lady. I love her so much. There was a point in time where it didn't look like she was going to make it to this Christmas, but she's still here. And some miracles were at work. So I love her. She's great. She's who gave me the serger. So it was also like, as a child, you come from a family where blood ties, legal ties don't even really matter. And then you go to this place where these people are like, you're not actually, I know your mom married my son, but you are not part of this family. And then they begrudgingly accept you, and then they go back on that, and they can't decide how they feel about you. So, holidays, man. They bring out the worst in people sometimes. But this is turning into a migraine. I feel it right here. I'm going to start losing my words a little bit, I guess. But I've enjoyed spending this Christmas with you. And I enjoy the fact that my Christmas has become only the things that I find important to me. I love giving handmade gifts. That's important to me, so I do that. And like I said, I have the integral decor, my Christmas tree, which I put up my Christmas tree in September, and it stays up until March. I just change out the decorations. You know, I have my nativity. I do my seasonal baking. I have my seasonal projects. I have my Advent. I love my Advent. I know growing up we intermittently got like a chocolate Advent. But last year I got my first yarn Advent, and I had a coffee Advent from my mom. And it was so much fun. I was like, this adds to the festive season so much, because like I talk about this year being hard, but it kind of had already started at the end of 2024. It was starting to get rough. So it's just, I know the parts of the holiday that are important to me. And there's pieces that I love, but I'm okay with them not happening. It makes me sad that I don't get to have them. Like, I would love to see my dad on Christmas. It's just not feasible right now. I would love to have a family dinner on Christmas. There are so many dietary restrictions that it's really hard to do a meal for everybody at this point. So, and that's okay. You know, if I get to see everybody, I'm happy. If I get to see most people, I'm happy. I'm going to call my dad after I film this and just chat with him for a little bit, because I miss him. I haven't been able to see him since last summer 24. But that's the way life goes, unfortunately. You know, you only get so much time with the people you love. Yeah, but realizing what parts of the holiday make it the holiday to me has been wonderful. Like, what makes my birthday my birthday? A cake, Gonna have to figure out how to do that this year. A cake and Olive Garden. And that's really it, honestly. Take me to Olive Garden. Give me some cake. It is my birthday. Now it's probably going to be, I think a steakhouse might have the most dietary options for me. Take me to a steakhouse. Get me a bowl of ice cream. It's my birthday. Thanksgiving, I need gravy. Still working on getting a good gravy that's not got like cornstarch in it or anything, but Thanksgiving is gravy and cranberry sauce. Easter's hard. Because the other thing about me and holidays is that I don't like the commercialization of things. I have a very hard problem with anything I perceive as greed. Made having a job very hard, because by the nature of owning a business, I do not get along with entrepreneurial owners. I find the one place I worked was a photography studio, and I found their marketing practices incredibly predatory, and I didn't like that. I liked my job, and everything outside my job was incredibly upsetting to me because I felt like the greed of the owners was so palpable. And I still chat occasionally with a former coworker from there, and she felt the same way, and she's worked there much longer than I have, like decades. So I have a problem with greed, and I'm now with somebody who is very hardline superstitious. I do not think he likes the Easter Bunny as a concept. I would not be surprised if he's anti-Easter Bunny. So I like Easter. What do I like about Easter? We usually, the last few years, we have lamb on Easter. And that feels festive and appropriate to me. But I miss church. I just don't want to be part of a church community when I don't have intentions of setting down roots. And with Kay's work schedule, it's just not reasonable right now. But he's amicable to going to church. It's just not right now. But I suspect I will think church is an integral part of Easter and Christmas. I would not be surprised. I know I can come off very flippant about Christianity. I went to a Christian college for a year, and my takeaway from that was the people there did not treat it like a sacred text, at least how I would treat a sacred text. And so it's very much a casual sort of thing to me. I mean, you see one argument of people throwing Bible verses at each other. You've seen them all. And it kind of, to me, all of this is to me. It degrades the sacredness of the text. It's not held with the same gravity and respect if you're just throwing random words out from it to me. So, like, I appreciate the Bible verses that came with the minis in this Advent. When I'm not trying to do so many things, I will probably go back and read them within the context of everything and be like, okay, I want to read this chapter. You know, see what the whole thing going on is. Because I like having the context. I have an archaeology Bible that has archaeological citations. It's not perfect, you know, for a variety of reasons. It does have a strong bias towards interpreting stuff a certain way. Now's a good point to mention that my degree is in anthropology with like the emphasis being archaeology. So, you know, very, very much bent that way. And so I want the context. I want the cultural things that were going on. I want to understand what was going on socially at the time. You know, the statement that marriage is between one man and one woman doesn't make sense to me. That specific passage doesn't make sense to me as a critique of the genders of the people getting married. That doesn't make sense to me when contextually that wasn't a thing, really. You know what was a thing? Polygamy. Seems a lot more reasonable to interpret it that way given what was going on than the other way when that was not a thing happening at the time. You know? That one's very confusing to me if you couldn't tell. So I like having the context. I find myself being flippant about the Bible and then feeling guilty about being flippant because I do find it a very interesting source of knowledge and wisdom for life. A lot of the things that made me think I will never be a Christian because of my worldview have changed in this last year based on what I've seen of the world. And so things that I was hung up on previously are no longer hang-ups for me. Other things are now because of what I've seen of the world. But that's, I think, we all grow and change in our beliefs and our lives and stuff and how we interpret things through experiences. I have a very specific view of how I think the human being is comprised of, and the soul and the spirit and all these things. And while it doesn't counter the Abrahamic religions, it also doesn't fully align with them. But I don't know if I think that that's fundamental to belief in being a Christian or not. I gotta go through like the decisions of like the different councils again because it's been a minute. You know, and it's just there's all these different parts that go into faith and belief. And while I can go, I don't believe these certain things, but I can wave them off because I like the church I go. Are they things that I would want my kids to grow up and believe? I don't know. Picking a church is hard. Picking a church is hard. I know that there's a lot of things that I do not care for because I do not think they have any place in a church. That's also me. So, yeah. It's an interesting one. My best friend is Hindu. And so I always enjoy talking to her because I do really feel like my religious awakening came through talking to her. And then I have a very well-educated Catholic friend who is not necessarily practicing, but very educated in it. And so I talk to him a lot about it too, just because I'm curious. I want to know things. I come from, I'd say, the dominant religious background in my family as far as the cultural beliefs is Mormonism. Because my mom's former stepmom, the one I call grandma, is Mormon. And so my uncles through my mom are all Mormon. And those are the people I've grown up with the most contact with. So I would say that Mormonism is dominant, even though my mom is not Mormon. My dad was raised Catholic. I don't even know the last time he went to Mass. I was baptized Lutheran. My parents stopped going when they got divorced, really. My mom's mom was Jewish when she died. Her husband's Jewish. But I wouldn't say that that has much bearing on how my family does things. So, I'd say Mormonism is probably the dominant one. There's a lot of other little ideas and things trickling in there. As I said, my best friend's Hindu, and I've been friends with her forever. Since the seventh grade. Not close friends until 9th, but friends since 7th for sure. But yeah, it's just interesting. Kay was raised adjacent to Southern Baptist. I don't know. His history's weird. He doesn't remember a lot of it for good reason. But yeah, I don't know what church we'll end up attending. I don't know if I'll still feel the way I do about church when the time comes. But you're allowed to change churches. You know, you're allowed to change religions about what you think's right. Granted, I don't know how I feel about subjective morality, where it's all in the eye of the beholder. There's some things that I think should be universal wrongs and aren't, in a very concerning way. Very concerning way. And it comes out in media coverage of said things, like the island victims being called adults and using adult words for them when they were most likely children, because all signs point to them being children, but we're going to call them adults. I don't like that. It was very weird to me. Once I saw that pointed out and how the news articles were covering it, I was like, oh, that turns my stomach. That feels wrong. Ugh. Very wrong. Yeah. The older I get, the more certain I am that kids are kids. Kids are kids. You cannot call an 18-year-old like a full-fledged adult. They are not an adult. I don't care what you say. They are not an adult. I remember being 18. I know what decisions I made at 18 and 19 and 20. Those were not the decisions of somebody who was like all there. I walked home alone at 4 a.m. in France when everything's closed, 40 minutes across the city from a bar drunk. That is not a decision that somebody with a fully formed prefrontal cortex will make. Nobody will do that. Do not do that. Nothing bad happened to me. My whole life is, how did nothing bad happen to you? What? Nothing bad happened to you? Nothing bad happened to me. I am very lucky. And the older I get, the more I realize how fortunate I was that nothing bad happened to me. Because I was an adventurous little soul when I got it into my head. Did a lot of traveling. I've seen a lot of the world in my own, specific way of seeing the world. I love parks. I like going to cities and visiting their parks. But yeah, I look back and I go, oh, that was a really sketchy situation you were in. You're lucky that you were surrounded by good people. So, despite everything that happens in this world and the way that they seem determined to make it out that most people are bad, I do think most people are good. Took a long time to come back there. This year's been hard. But I do think most people are good. Kay would say most people are bad, but they still deserve to live in a good world. I think that's a much harder position to hold. And I think he's a very strong person. I admire him greatly. He's been through a lot. I should go take a painkiller and finish up this square. Maybe go lay down. But I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. I hope you find some things to smile about. I hope you get to do your favorite things that are a part of this day. that make it feel festive to you, even if you don't get the full dream, even if you're missing the fluff and the dressing. I hope you still get the part that makes it feel like Christmas. I'll see you with my recap, maybe. Actually, I don't think I will. I've not done any cross-stitching this morning. I can show you what this square looks like. I will post it on Instagram, the complete 5, with the Bible verses over all of them in the second slide. And then in the third slide, I'll show you the whole blanket. And I'll probably recap this in my floss tube on Monday, the 29th. But for the time being, I hope you have a wonderful holiday and that you find and keep the parts of it that bring you joy. Bye. I forgot to mention that as a thank you and a Christmas gift to you, I do have a little freebie chart for you. It's just an Ollie looking at a Christmas tree. It could be your own dog if your dog happens to look like Ollie. But I wanted to, so I did. And hopefully it's just been hanging up here and you can just screenshot it. It's small. Merry Christmas.